Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over our new YouTube account and we're going to be looking at the Treasure Scramble, which of course means a brand new guide for this iteration. Now we are preparing for battle right now. As you can see, this is a one game mode that you have to really focus on, putting your best heroes in here, making sure that you're doing substitutions because this is going to give you an incredible amount of loot. So let's hop over, we'll take a look at this guide. All right, guys, so here it is, the Treasure Scramble Ice Debuff Guide. Again, big shout out to those AFK guys for putting this together always. And as you can see, some of the teams have changed, which is kind of interesting to see, even very early. Team 1 with the Awakened version of Sophia. And then you'll also notice Aurelia is in there. So our brand new Celestial hero is in there already in formations. We've seen it over on the test server. We are also seeing her being used in the Nightmare Corridor, which means she is going to have a spot, and she is going to have a spot in a lot of different teams. Now, looking in here, we do have Naruko, which of course, when it comes to the Maulers, it is great to finally see a team of Maulers that are actually coming together, so kind of crazy. Now, of course, with the Awakened version of Sophia, we do have survivability issues. This is where running Damia comes together. And then, of course, the Panda Dumpty can provide some immunity in there with the hiding of the bamboo and everything else. So definitely important to have the hero in there. Now, of course, if you don't have that Awakened version of Sophia, you can put Tarnos in there. That is one of the oldie but goodies that we have. You see Vathiel in there. Now, making sure, because a lot of times with this guide, there is an overlap for a lot of different heroes. A lot of different heroes can fill different slots depending on who you do have built. So making sure, again, that those substitutes. And of course, in here with the new hero, it is, as you see right here, replacing Shuna. So this is actually a replacement right here for Shuna. And then, of course, looking at our front line, we also do have Villanelle in here as a substitution. Now, you'll notice in the bottom, there is a 2-team version. This is going to be the starting version in here. And this is actually the team that I'm running currently with the start is running that running Rem with Alna within there for the very first team. And then, of course, we have Aethys in here, a couple other heroes if you don't have Alna and Rem within that formation. Now, looking at our second team right here is the Awakened version of Chimera. This is another one very strong. Now, you'll notice that Lan is making an appearance. The Awakened version of Iran is in here with the Awakened version of Chimera. Kind of crazy to think that these heroes are being placed this fast into content, but that is exactly what's happening. Now, you'll also see that if you do not have Land, the equivalent in here is Valkyrie at this point. If you don't have Valkyrie, you can see going down a long line of heroes. We have Rimuru in there, we have Gavus in there, we have Silas in there, we have Hildwyn in there. A lot of different heroes that are the subs, and that is why I love this guide from the AFK guys. The way that they put the substitutes in here, pretty much you can find a sub. And even when you think further out, if you don't have the heroes that are substitutes, when you think of support heroes, you know, putting support in there for other support heroes can work incredibly well within this game mode. But of course, when it comes to PvP, the bigger you have these heroes built, the bigger the investment, the better you're going to perform within the Treasure Scramble. Team 3 goes to the Alna Seal. Now, again, we know Alna in a couple different formations, but looking in here, this is the stall team. If you remember this one, it works incredibly well. Now, this is a team we did not see in the other iterations of the Treasure Scramble, and that is because of the Treasure Scramble debuff that it comes with the frozen debuff that we have in this one, making this team very effective. Now, you'll also notice in here there's a 3-team variant, so when you do get to adding in that 3rd team, which of course will be after you get promoted, there are some variations in here to go ahead and put those in, and there's also combinations in here that are running Lucila and Luciberta, which do, again, work incredibly well in here. Now, the driving force of this team is the Slumbering Seal. That is the one that you want to drive, even if you're building it up to 18. It is also the beast that I have focused on putting in all my build, and really building that beast even up higher than 18 can make a really big difference when it comes to the damage the team is putting out. Then, of course, team number 4 is the Dimensionals. Once you get to team 4, you can see the 4-team variant in here. It is adding Albedo in here. And then, of course, we do have Shuna in here. And we have Rem and Amelia. Now, looking at this formation, Amelia is going to provide the crowd control, allowing Rem to really unleash damage. We have Leica in there for some mitigation. Works incredibly well. And then we do have the Stone Lizard in there, which is going to provide, again, a lot more of the defensive capability to keep Rem alive. That is the primary damage dealer in this formation. Rem will do very strong burst damage in this formation. Going to our back left, this is Matria. Again, with the Frost debuff, with the Frozen debuff, this is a team that is working incredibly well. And you'll notice that Meleon is in here. Hildwyn is in here as well. Now, of course, when you think of Hildwyn, very, very defensive mage, very support-focused mage. Meleon, of course, is going to provide some buffs in here. Then you have Kelthin. Kelthin is a monster when it comes to a lot of different game modes. Interesting enough, with Kelthin, we are also seeing him used in the Curse Realm and the Nightmare Corridor, of course, as a primary damage dealer within the Hypo Tower. There's a lot of utility that is still coming behind this hero, and it is awesome to see. Now, of course, if you don't have Matria, you see Leica in here, we see Luciberta in here. Some of these formations can change up considerably depending on who you have. And if you have any of the old heroes, if you remember long before we had the Draconic heroes, this was looking at Zolrat, this was looking at Olgath, this was running Lavatoon, even Frampton in here, Aziz in here. This used to be the team where it was all 5 of the heroes here were hypo heroes that, of course, amplify the buff that Matria is getting within this formation. And over and through the power creep, we have just seen some adjustments. And then you also notice Shroom Spooter is in here as a taunt to keep all of your targets alive. Kinesin Rook, PvP-wise, Energy Disintegration, still does incredibly well. Team 6 is Gavus. Now, of course, looking at Gavus, this is very, very important to note, is in here we have the Awakened version of Lucius, and we have Gavus. The Awakened version of Lucius is very, very squishy, meaning that he can die relatively easy. That is why he needs support. You need heroes in here that are going to keep him alive. Now, Gavus does offer the damage reduction in there. Then we also have the Ice Crown for the crowd control. If you can keep the hero alive, he will do incredibly well. Now, one thing to note, with the Awakened version of Lucius, it requires a very, very big build for him to work incredibly well. But when you do get him built up, he does work very well. Now, Eugene is in here, so you can see the sheer amount of Awakened heroes we're using in different game modes. And of course, Jerome in here has the ability to buff up Light Bearers, which means Palmer, but of course, the Awakened version of Lucius, getting a lot of buffs and substitutes are right down here. Again, if you don't possess all of these, you could also pop in a couple of their support heroes. Even looking at Gavus, if you use, like, let's say a star like Peanut for the damage mitigation factor off the back, there's a couple other ones that you could use in here to provide some additional crowd control. Looking at team number 7, it is Luciberta. So Lucilla and Luciberta together, they do work very, very well, like peanut butter and jelly. Then, of course, we do have the Awakened version of Athalia in here. Solus is in here. And Vithiel is in here. So for a lot of players that don't have Vithiel, Tamris is really the cheap alternative in here. You see Misha is in here as well. Even if you went old school Mishka, it would work well with the crowd control that we provide. It is about keeping the team up while providing buffs. Tamris, again, is another one that does work incredibly well because of the crowd control and the buffing aspect that they bring. And you'll also notice in here that the Awakened version of Solus kind of replaced by Gavus or vice versa. You have Lan in here, you have Misha in here, and you have a ton of the support heroes. Then the bonus team in here is the Aaron. Very, very cool. So this, of course, is the Awakened version of Iran, and it runs Alna. Now, this, again, was one of the things that we noted is earlier in AFK Arena, the Awakened version of Iran, similar to Lucius, similar to Antandra, does have the probability or does have really a factor that it dies out very, very quickly, meaning that if you add Alna to the formation with the Awakened version of Iran, the survivability shoots through the roof and the team does very well. Now, you notice Silas is in here, provides the immunity, which is very strong. Also, the buff that we have with the Awakened version of Iran. Meleon's in here because we know Iran does draconic damage, and then Misha in here as well as a buffer. And you'll notice, similar to all of the other formations, Rimuru, unfortunately, being kind of backseated a little bit more. We're seeing the same with Nyla as the hero just kind of gets a little bit older, seeing a little bit more of a power creep when it comes to the build. And of course, looking at this in its entirety from the AFK guys, it is amazing. I'm going to put a link down below so you can definitely set up your teams. Make sure you have your substitutions in there, because this list and this really progression in here for the visuals is just getting bigger and bigger with more and more heroes as we see it really continuing to grow. But Treasure Scramble, very PvP focused, like I said, way big build on heroes. That Endeavor ability with the 80 engraving with those stars is very big with the heroes in here. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.